And I have with me Patsy Vinogradov. I'm doing the technical support.
Hello. Did you want to advance the slide there, Suzanne?
I did. Is it not advancing? Okay. Let me just toggle with it again and see what happens. How about now?
Nope, it's not advancing, at least not on my screen. Oh, there we go. You're all good.
Now
Go ahead.
It is?
Yes, you're set.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Let me know again if you don't see a screen and I'll work on it again. Okay. Do you see the agenda?
Not yet. Try again. Okay,
Now?
you're all set.
Yes? Okay. Great. So today we'll be recognizing the purpose of the Transitions Integration Framework, which we will be calling the TIF, and in particular explore the critical thinking category of the TIF and then its skills and sub-skills. And we'll be using the chat function a lot with that Patsy showed you, which is at the bottom of your control panel. We'll also be exploring some of the critical thinking sample activities that are found in the complete TIF. During that time, we'll be thinking about how to use sample activities in our own classrooms. So when you have an idea, we'd love for you to share out and use the raising of your hand icon and your microphone. And then also today we'll be lucky enough to not only go through a lesson plan and explore it for critical thinking skills, but think about how it can be improved by watching a video of Carol Margolis in the classroom and how she really ramped up her lessons with critical thinking skills. And then after that, after we see the video portions, we'll be chatting and sharing out about that as well. And then we'll wrap it up. Okay, ACEs. Here's the mission of ACEs. Can you all see that slide? Great. Okay. Take a second to read the mission of ACEs. And please be sure to have your microphone muted at this point.
Yeah, Sarah Larson, could you go ahead and mute your microphone for us?
Okay, so the mission of ACEs relates to contextualizing and integrating transition skills at all levels. There was and still is a federal push to focus on transitions in ABE and ESL, and Minnesota's response was to make transitions relevant for all levels of ESL and ABE. That's all levels, starting at the beginning, and we know that's very important. And of course, critical thinking is part of transition skills. We all know that our learners possess great critical thinking skills already, but they really need us to help them practice those skills in English and help them practice for the contexts in which they'll find themselves here in the U.S. Using those critical thinking skills. So we just need to capitalize on what they already can do. So let's take a moment to talk about you. Take a poll, and we want to know where you are right now with integrating critical thinking skills. And you'll see Patsy's going to launch a poll, and you'll see it appear on your screen. So go ahead and vote as you see the correct answer for yourself.
I'll just give you another 10 seconds or so. Looks like most people have voted. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close, and I'll share those. Hopefully you can see that.
Okay, so 23% very intentional about integrating the skills. 54% it's part of what you do, but not very integrated. And 23% I know what I'm doing, but not really sure. Okay, so we're all doing a little bit, and great. So we all have something to learn in the webinar, and we can move forward.
Okay.
And at the end of the webinar, we'll take a similar poll and see where you are at the end, right?
All right, I'll go ahead and hide those so you can click back to your PowerPoint. There
Okay.
it is, and we're there. Go ahead.
Great. Okay, so critical thinking skills. Critical thinking is one of the categories of the TIF. And so in that category, there are 4 major skills. And then each one of those skills is broken down into sub-skills. So what we're going to do is, on the next couple of slides, look at those critical thinking skills and the sub-skills and try to decide how they match up. Okay? So what we're going to do is use the chat box. So get ready there. Get ready to chat to the entire audience. Okay. You should see 4 skills that are under the critical thinking category. Number 1, organize, analyze, and illustrate relationships between components, items, and ideas. Excuse me. Number 2, solve problems. Number 3, use information to draw conclusions and make decisions. And number 4, recognize bias, assumptions, and multiple perspectives. Okay, here comes a sub-skill. Identify barriers to accomplishing a task or solving a problem. Looking at the 4 major skills above, which one do you think this sub-skill fits under? Go ahead and chat that out. Oh, you're all on fire here. Great. Okay. Looks like we're all in alignment. It's skill 2, solve problems. Let's look at another one. Identify and evaluate options and consequences. Which major skill does that fit under? Okay. It's number 3. There was a little bit of discrepancy on that one, but use information to draw conclusions and make decisions. And they do have a lot of crossover too. They're not all exclusive. But this one does fit under 3 in the TIF. How about this one? Synthesize information, ideas, and components in a meaningful and structured way. Go ahead and chat that one out. Okay. That one in the TIF fits under number 1. Again, if you chose another one, it's probably not out of the realm of possibility, but it would fit under there. This is just getting us comfortable with the TIF and the critical thinking category. Here's our last one. Recognize the speaker or writer's intent or purpose. Okay, great. Number 4. If you want to see all of the sub-skills and the skills together, you can check out page 2 of your handout. That has it all listed out for you. That's the handout that you printed out before the meeting, or you can print it out after. It's in the Materials tab on your control panel to the right. Okay, so the TIF, the big TIF. Let's look at the bigger picture again here. The complete TIF contains 8 categories and definitions, skills and subskills, and we were just in the last slides looking at skills and subskills, so it contains those. Sample activities that you can use in the classroom from simple to complex, technology ideas from simple to complex, and then ideas for contextualization for community school or work. And you do have a link to the full TIF in your materials folder. You do not need to get that right now, but it's there. And it's also on the ACES website. Okay, so the first thing on this slide that you see bulleted is categories and definitions. So what category are we doing today? Anybody? Chat it out. That's right, critical thinking. So what is the definition of critical thinking? I won't make you chat that out. You can just read it here. Take a minute to read it. Okay, so what does this mean? I understand it, but I need an example. And if you're anything like me, you need an example too. So let's go on to some sample activities because those will really show you what this definition means. What does this definition mean to me as a practitioner in the classroom? Okay. We're going to zoom in on the critical thinking component here. Okay, you are going to need my PowerPoint, which you have here. Sorry, folks, trying to move some things around. You're going to need your handout. And what you'll need, can you see my handout here on your screen?
Yep, we can see it.
You'll go to this page, page 3. Yes? Okay. So everyone have that page out. And then we'll have my PowerPoint. And what we'll do on the next slide is look at some sample activities. And you will choose from the activities the level of complexity that matches your level that you teach or that you're familiar with at your site. You'll choose one of those activities and then make some modifications or simply decide how would you use it in your classroom. And then take notes on this grid, this one from your handout. So let's do one together. Okay. So what we have here are some activities from the TIF, and you'll see at the top it tells us what skill and sub-skill we're looking at. Here it's skill 1, sub-skill A, sequence components, items, or ideas in a logical or structured manner. For example, alphabetical or chronological. Looking at the yellow boxes, those are your sample activities for the classroom. If you look at the blue boxes, those are sample technology activities for the classroom. And these go from left to right in their complexity. So if you're looking at the far left, that's around a beginner level, and then we go on up. Let's do one of these together. I'm going to choose this one here. Sequence events in chronological order using pictures with dates or simple contextualized sentences with dates. So I'll go to my handout. Which activity? Yellow box on the left. And how will I tweak it for my class? Again, the activity. Is sequence events in chronological order using pictures with dates or simple contextualized sentences with dates. So I actually saw someone do something like this in a class. What they did was they had pictures of someone going to a store and all the steps that they did going through the store. So one picture was coming in to the store, the second was looking at items, the third was getting in line, third checking out at the store, and the fifth was leaving. So I would have the learners order those pictures. They'll order the store pictures and label them with numbers. So that's how I might modify or use that activity. Does anyone else have an idea of how they might use that activity or another activity that we see here? If you do, go ahead and raise your hand.
Looks like Rosie's got her hand up.
Oh, okay, great. Rosie, unmute yourself and let's hear it.
Well, one of the things that I did with that at the simple level is to generate a story that had to do with the medical or the health unit that I was teaching. I had things like, my baby is crying. It is 3 a.m. I give my baby aspirin at 6 a.m. and then call the clinic at 8 and so forth. So
Okay.
then I created a timeline.
Ah.
After we read it and understood, then had them fill in the timeline using times instead of dates.
Oh, great. Great. That's perfect. It fits in perfectly with this type of idea that we're seeing on the screen. Thanks, Rosie. I see that Dan also has his hand up.
Hi, I just thought of an extension of something we were just working on today, of course. There's a story about a woman who came to this country 6 months ago, and her father has been here for 2 years, and she's thinking of saving up money so she can bring her husband here from Africa, and that kind of lends itself to maybe rearranging some pictures and describing them, putting them in order, and describing what has to happen before the other one has to happen. Putting them in order and either talking about it or writing about it.
Yeah, great. I love that. That's something that you did in class today, Dan, that you might extend on tomorrow or next week?
That was a story that we had today, but you're giving me ideas of how I can do it already.
Great. Well, and that's exactly what these sample activities are meant to do, is give practitioners some ideas. And then if they don't fit exactly into your classroom or your context, then you can tweak them a little bit or have an extension like Dan did. Wonderful. Okay. So now what I'd like you to do is try one by yourself. So you'll still need that page 3 from your handout. But let's look at a different slide. Excuse me, everybody. Going the wrong way. Okay, we're going to look at critical thinking skill 2, sub-skill D, identify and evaluate potential solutions and possible consequences of those solutions. So I'd like you to take a minute. Don't shout out right away, but think about one of these activities that you see here and how you could use it in your classroom or what inspiration it gives you. So in a minute, I'll let you know that it's time to raise your hand or unmute. Okay, let's see if any sparks of inspiration came up. First of all, if your hand is up and you don't mean for it to be up, bring it down. And then if anyone has an idea for this sub-skill of how you might use it in the classroom. I see Patty. Patty, your hand is up. Unmute and let us know. And also, if you don't have a microphone, anyone, you can always chat to us in the chat box too.
So Patty, I think you're still muted.
Patty, are you able to unmute? Maybe while Patty is getting that technical issue worked out, let's go with Sarah Russ. Hi, Sarah.
There we go. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, now you can hear me, right?
Uh-huh. Yes.
My audio connection went away, but it came back.
Okay.
So for a Sam and Pat story in my class, this is for the far left, both the yellow and the blue. There's a point in time where Sam has trouble getting to work because one bus is really early and one bus is really late, and he has to get to work on time. And so I've done an activity where students have to brainstorm different solutions. And then they have a worksheet with pictures of a bus, a bicycle, and home. And they go to a different corner of the room, decide depending on if they think Sam should take the early bus, or if he should bike to work, or if he should stay home and not go to work that day. And then the students get into their corners and they debate amongst themselves to talk about why Sam should do each of these things, and then try to convince other students to change their answer. But I'd like to do the technological follow-up. I like the survey idea online.
Okay. Yes, that I can see the connection right there to this sub-skill. And also, the word that always pops out for me with critical thinking is why. And, you know, you're asking your students why. So, good. I'm seeing here that, thank you, Sarah. I'm seeing that Patty has chatted her idea. So I'll just read it out. She says she was thinking about a geometry problem that she just did. The student created a pattern with different shapes and then wrote explicit instructions for another student to recreate. It's a puzzle problem. Yes, and wonderful idea. Very many skills involved, not just critical thinking skills, but clarification questions and evaluating solutions. Absolutely. Thank you, Patty.
Hey, Suzanne, Erin's had her hand up.
Who else do we?
Erin Carey?
Oh, Erin, hi.
Hey.
Hi.
You guys can hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I was looking at the yellow box to the far right,
Okay.
and was thinking about working maybe with an intermediate group on this because I think my intermediate group would really enjoy this. I thought it would be fun to do this activity with tenant issues, needing to report issues to a landlord, and maybe come up with a few major ones. Maybe someone in the class has been dealing with one, and then we could, I love this idea of the graphic organizer. What I would do is have the students work in groups of 2 or 3 and come up with some solutions for a problem that we select as a class, and then we could you know, share them out and plug them into the cause and effect graphic organizer, and then come up with some solutions for the problem that way as a group. And I was thinking it would be with the possible advantages or disadvantages of each solution, it would be fun to you know, organize the group into 2 groups and have them debate each other about the advantages or disadvantages of 2 different possible solutions.
Okay, thank you. And definitely anytime we see the graphic organizer, critical thinking skills are most likely not far behind because of the organizational skills you need to do that. Did we have, oh, Betsy, do you have an idea?
You know what? I didn't hit the hand, but I do have an idea.
Oh, okay.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Well, it made me think of some samples I use with teachers, and I've used myself when I teach in our ESL practicum. We're using short video clips, and I use a clip that I love about the microfinancing, the Grameen Bank movement, and it's very short on YouTube. It's only about 3 minutes long, and it's very profound, and it's about a woman who brings a cell phone to her community, and people can pay her a small fee to use the cell phone. And she talks about the powerful impact that that has both on her community and on her family. So for that activity, a note-taking task, I use a very simple flow chart. One says benefits to her community, and then they have to identify those 3, and benefits to the, well, what's the problem, and then what are the benefits to the community, and then to her family. Some students listen for community, some for family, and then they have to mingle and find others and fill in the other graphic organizer. So it's sort of some bonus skills, note-taking with the graphic organizer like you have here, and then doing it as a jigsaw so they have to communicate, and then also using an authentic little talk online sort of replicates a mini lecture they might encounter in an academic setting.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Lots of different skills being combined there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Anyone else before we move on? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for those great ideas. I'm writing them down and might just use them. We're going to go past these and focus now on the ACES process. So if you know, you can chat out. In the ACES acronym, when we go through the ACES process, what does the A stand for? And I just revealed it, excuse me. Thank you, Patsy. Assess, yes. So when we're going through the ACES process or thinking about integrating these skills into our lessons and our classroom, first we have to assess what we're already doing. We have to assess and see if we already include these skills and where the gaps are. How about the C? Okay, that's right, complement. The next step after we assess and see what we're doing in the classroom, we need to complement it intentionally with these skills. How about the E? Evaluate. Good, yes. After delivering lessons or using materials, we need to evaluate what we've been doing, see if it worked for our learners. and the S. Okay, we've got some folks who know here. Study and reflect. What else do the students need? What else do I need? And then we just keep going through this loop. Today, we're just going to focus on assess and complement. First, assess. We'll be looking at a lesson plan that I wrote. We'll be looking at it to see what critical thinking skills it already contains. And for this part of the webinar, you're going to need your handout. Here it is again. You're going to need pages 2, which looks like this. It's the snapshot of the critical thinking skills. So you'll need page 2. You'll need page 4, which is the side-by-side pre-ACEs and post-ACEs. And you'll need page 5, which is this grid. Okay. What we'll do is we'll look at the different components of this lesson, decide what critical thinking skills from page 2 are present, and then you all can tell me what you think you see in the lesson. So if you're looking at page 4, you'll see on the pre-ACEs lesson this warm-up. Go ahead and read it for yourself. Okay, so on page 5 now, you see your assess column. With warm-up, write down what critical thinking skills did you see in that warm-up that you just read. After you've written that down, go ahead and chat. Let me know if you've seen anything. Okay. Ralu sees sequencing of the days. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Patsy sees 1A. Dan, yesterday and tomorrow based on today. I see more sequencing. I see 1D, logic, 1A. Okay, so we have people seeing lots of different things, and this is a warm-up that's very common and not at all bad. What I saw in there for myself was critical thinking skill 1A. So again, if you look back on page 2, you can find which number and letter combination will name that critical thinking skill for you, and then just put it in that column. So I saw 1A. It's okay if we saw different things. I'm glad that some people saw some other things in my warm-up. Okay, let's go on to the introduction. Again, look at the introduction that's in the lesson, and then note on page 5 what critical thinking skills you see. Okay, got some coming in. 1C, information to meet purpose. A lot of 1Cs. Okay, let's see what I thought. 1C. Okay, so a lot of us agree on that one. Again, if you saw something I didn't, that's okay. And now the controlled activity, the guided activity, and the independent are all on one slide here, but we'll go through one by one. So for the controlled activity, students will read questions about a map, and I'm going to show you this, and then they fill in the blank. This is how it looks in the lesson plan. I'm sorry about how small it is. So the students would look here, where's the post office, and they circle the right answer according to where the post office is. So that's the controlled practice. Okay, what critical thinking skills do you see here? We've got a 4B, a 3B. Some 3Ds and 3Bs popping up. That's okay, Patty. 1D and a 3B. Okay, let's see what I put up. For controlled, I put 2C. So, hey, anybody, we saw a lot of 3Bs. Does anyone want to say what they saw that made them say that? Yeah, Rosemary.
Well, I thought that it was that one because they needed to identify information needed to accomplish a task.
Okay. Okay, sure. Right. And I wrestle with this too sometimes, what's there and what's not, but yeah, I agree with you. So maybe one more point to my pre-lesson. Thank you, Rosie. Okay, here's the guided practice. Looking at my lesson plan again, the guided practice is that they will look at this map again that's at the top, the green street map, and then they will ask and answer with a partner, where's the school? And the next person will say blank, the bakery and the supermarket. And we've got some chats here. For the controlled practice, people were thinking info needed to find your way somewhere, in particular accomplishing a task, not solving a problem. You'd need to know where it was at. Good. So oftentimes, actually, the critical thinking skills, they're kind of buried. We don't always recognize them. Okay, so for guided practice, I put in 2C, and then the independent practice. Why don't you go ahead and read that on your sheet on page 4. Oops, excuse me, I'm adding it in. Read that on the pre-lesson, the independent practice, and what critical thinking skills are you seeing? Okay, 3D, 3B, 1C. To B, 4B, okay, 2C, okay. I had 1C, 2C, and 3B. Again, we're differing a little bit, but that's okay. Let's see though, definitely we could add more, and we didn't have an extension, excuse me. Definitely we can have more critical thinking skills. Maybe we can all agree on that. So let's move on. What do we do next? We complement. So we're going to have a treat. We're going to watch a video of Carol Margolis, a teacher in St. Paul, teach basically the same type of lesson, but she's going to integrate critical thinking skills. You may already know this with this webinar tool. It's we cannot watch a video within the tool, so you'll need to watch the video in another tab. The video link is in your materials folder, and that's in your control panel. You'll see the materials, and just click on that little triangle to open the materials folder, and you'll see the link. And I believe that when you click that link, it will just open another tab for you. So let's get everybody to just do that part, and then we'll move on. Okay, Sarah says yes, it does indeed open another folder. Okay, you will also need for this the video, and then you'll also need pages 2 and 5 of your handout. Okay, so you'll need the sub-skills and your chart or your graph. What we're going to do is view each segment at a time. So first we'll view the warm-up, and you'll see that the warm-up is from the beginning of the video to 2 minutes and 36 seconds. But I'm going to give you 4 minutes to watch that portion so that you have time to watch it, think about it, and write down what critical thinking skills you are seeing. Okay? But pause the video at 2:36 and then come back to the webinar. Okay? Also, there will be a timer that will come up on your screen, and you can move it around as you please. Okay? Great. Everybody okay with the video? Okay. Yes, and it is, Patsy is the director of this video, so kudos to her. Welcome to the TIF-Lens series Critical Thinking Skills video. The lesson you are about to watch was taught by Carol Margolis, a teacher at Moore Multicultural School for Empowerment in St. Paul, Minnesota. The class is beginning level, CASAS range 180 to 195, and it meets Monday through Thursday for 5 hours a day. Carol's class will be focusing on prepositions of place and maps today, but as a daily warm-up, the learners always do some work with calendar concepts. Notice how Carol includes more complex calendar questions, compelling the learners to think critically about how pieces of the calendar are related to each other.
What month is it?
January.
What month was last month?
December.
Uh-huh. What was the month before last month?
November.
Yeah, Pila, you're too good at this. Okay. What will be the day after tomorrow?
After tomorrow, Saturday.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right. What's the day before Monday?
Sunday. Before. Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. Okay, very good. What was the day before yesterday?
Tuesday.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know.
On in what day is between Monday and week?
How many Monday
Week
on in
Wednesday.
Now it's the learner's turn to ask the questions. They review their questions with the teacher and then prepare to quiz their classmates.
How many Monday?
In this warm-up, the learners are already using prepositions of place, the first step in scaffolding toward the later activities of the lesson.
What day is between Monday and Wednesday?
Tuesday.
So let's come back and let's just talk. What I'd love to do is have people share out with their mic. If you don't have a mic, you can certainly do it through the chat. But what critical thinking skills did you note in this warm-up? Go ahead and raise your hand or chat. Okay, I see Ralu has 1A. Anybody want to chat out what they saw? How about Sarah Russ? Gonna pick on you.
I wrote precision sequencing, which is 1A with the days before and after and in between. But I was also looking at some of the students who were maybe checking their own answers against what other people were giving.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe evaluating potential solutions and possible consequences, they're being right or wrong versus the rest of the class.
Right. Great. Thank you. And how about differences between this and the last warm-up, where the students write everything up on the board about yesterday, today, tomorrow, and then put it into their notebooks? What were they having to do? Not sure if you noticed. Okay. I am going to... Oh, I see Rosemary says 1C, 3B, 1A from Patty, 1A, 1B from Lisa. Okay. Let's see what I put. Excuse me. 1A, 1C, 2C. Something that struck me in particular about this warm-up was that Carol is asking the students to say, think about things like, what is the day between Wednesday and Friday, which is very much critical thinking, that they have to think about how things are in relation to each other as far as the days of the week, rather than just today, yesterday, and tomorrow, and writing down the dates that were in the first warm-up that we saw. And Sarah Russ here says in the chat, more student-to-student interaction, definitely. Okay, let's go on then. Go ahead and view the introduction, which should be the next segment that you're ready for. We'll just go 3 minutes this time, and I'll bring you back in 3 minutes after you've written down some critical thinking skills that you think the introduction uses. Moving on to the introduction stage of the lesson, the learners review key vocabulary of place names in small groups. Even a simple activity like this can be considered critical thinking. Organizing pieces of information as they relate to each other is an important skill.
Come up, draw a picture of on. Draw a picture of next to. Remember with, okay. That's good. That's perfect. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Okay, across from. Anybody across from? You go, Kina. Restaurant next to the laundromat. Let's pretend this is a street. This is Jackson Street. Okay, this is a street. Okay, this is a street. This is Jackson.
Yeah.
Restaurant next to the laundromat.
Yeah, restaurant.
Good.
Restaurant
Okay.
next to the laundromat.
All right. Okay. I would like to have the post office across from the restaurant.
Carol is reviewing prepositions of place here, but you will also notice this as an important component of her careful scaffolding as we move through the lesson.
And one more, how about the school between the post office and the hospital? Yeah, great.
Okay, let's come back together and how about the introduction? What did you like about it? What critical thinking skills did you see? Raise a hand if you'd like to share out, or you can chat. Okay, Dan.
I thought 1C was going on there because the learners were taking the information that they had and sort of displaying it in a way they hadn't done before by doing the drawing.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to
Yes.
take the information and sort of interpret it into a marker on whiteboard form.
Right. Good. Good. Thank you. Let's see, I think we got a chat here. Betsy says, by having to listen and answer these more abstract questions, they have to think much more deeply than simply sequencing or matching. As they draw on prior knowledge to match words and picks collaboratively. Yes, absolutely. I see people writing down 1B, 1C, 2C, 1A, 1C. Good. Okay, let me just double check to see if anyone else wants to share out what they liked. Dan, do you have your hand up again or just forgot to bring it? Good. Okay. Okay, I saw 1A, 1C, 1B, 2C, 3B. So a lot more of a challenge to think critically during this segment and to work collaboratively, as Betsy said too. Yeah, Betsy, would you like to share out? Or just an accidental hand up? Okay. We will move on. Okay. Now we'll view the controlled practice. Just to bring you back to the controlled practice from the pre-lesson, in the controlled practice they were asked to circle the correct answer between two options, looking at a map that was on the same page. Okay, so let's go watch this segment of the video and remember to write down what critical thinking skills you are noticing. In the controlled activity, learners start using a simple map and building blocks labeled with community place names.
They place the blocks on the map following simple instructions given by the teacher.
Show me across from. 2 buildings, show me across from. Yeah, you got it, across from. Good, across from. Okay, take them off. Okay. Show me 2 buildings on Maple Street.
On Maple Street.
2 buildings on Maple Street. Two. There you go. On Maple Street. Okay. How about put 1 building on First Avenue? Now, show me 3 buildings between. Show me a between.
Three buildings.
And tell me which building is between the other 2. Okay? So, we've got, what do we have here? We have pharmacy,
Bed.
supermarket. Which building is between?
Back.
Bed.
Yeah. How do we say? The bank is
Is between
The supermarket.
pharmacy.
and the pharmacy.
Okay, let's come back together and hear what people have to say. So we already have some folks in the chat box. Lisa says 1C, oop, I just lost you, 1C, 2, 3B. The hands-on demonstration helps the teacher know that the students have understood the directions. Absolutely. There's nothing like having students apply the skills to let you know that they are understanding and that they can do what you want them to do. We have 1C, 1D, 2E, 2C, 3C. We're all over the board here. 2C, 2E. Okay. Would anyone like to share out what you saw that made this in particular a little bit more critical thinking skills than the old controlled practice, which was just circling an option? Okay. Okay, we don't have anyone wanting to share out, but we have some, here down in the chat box, Ralu. They needed to follow certain order to complete it, and it made it easier. Aha. So yes, having to follow certain order, a certain order or a list of orders from someone else definitely is critical thinking. Using the blocks to be able to signify relationship from one thing to another thing uses critical thinking skills. Okay, let's move on. Here are the critical thinking skills I noticed. Oh, and sorry, we have another one. Betsy Parrish says, map reading is actually very abstract for many ELLs, so the concrete task allows them to demonstrate their interpretations, that their interpretations are accurate. It makes it more visible. Yes, and I know that's definitely something Carol was thinking about, making it concrete, not abstract, but then we bring the concrete back to abstract later on. Great for checking understanding, and Carol applied 2A in choosing to use the blocks rather than just paper, says Sarah. Okay, let's move on to the guided practice. You'll see that Carol is again using the blocks. Go ahead and watch that part and come on back.
Guided practice moves the learners up a step. Using the same map and blocks, students must listen to more complex instructions.
Okay. The supermarket is across from the apartments. Got it? You guys are so fast at this. It is next to the school. I'll read that again. The supermarket is across from the apartments. It is next to the school. The school is between the supermarket and the movie theater. Okay? I'll read one more time.
The learners need to organize the components, restructure as new information arises, and make decisions based on what they hear and see. All important critical thinking skills. Less error correction is given by the teacher during the activity, but the learners are able to check their own work at the end. This allows groups to really negotiate with the language in the instructions and use their critical thinking skills.
We already have a chat here from Patsy saying she loves the use of the document camera for checking understanding on the screen. And Sarah agrees. She wishes she had one. Yes, we all wish we had one. Those are great devices. So in this segment, you saw Carol giving them step-by-step and for their level complex instructions. She's reading them, so they're just listening to them. How did this ask the students to use their critical thinking skills? Or if something else impressed you, you also liked the document camera, you can chat that out too. Okay. Lisa says, many skills including 3C because the teacher can check their towns to see if they placed the blocks correctly. Building a whole town, maybe 3B. Dan says that he likes the self-evaluation piece of this. Agreed. Well, it's definitely true that that this brings in, I'm sorry, Patsy says 2E, applying steps to a problem. Absolutely. This is basically a problem for the learners. They have to figure out how this works together. And as each new sentence comes up, it changes how the buildings might be in relation to each other. And you see that they have to figure that out. Oh, if the school is next to the supermarket but across from the pharmacy, then this next step can't be true, or the last step can't be true. I have to move my buildings around. So that critical thinking skill of reevaluating what's happening when new information comes to light. Carol does a nice job of scaffolding, absolutely. Another chat is from Sarah. Students choose to make changes. Yes. Sorry, Sarah, I stepped on your toes there. The students choose to make changes as they receive new information. Yes. So even here at this lower level, these students are CASAS 180 to 195. We can even have them doing things like this where they have to reevaluate information as it comes in. And you can see them struggling with it with each other, trying to figure out what is the correct configuration. So what I put down as the CASAS, the ACES skills are here on the screen. And then let's move forward so we can for sure see the whole thing. Next step is that you watch the independent practice. That starts at minute 7:35. Go ahead and watch that and we'll come back.
The independent practice portion of this lesson adds a new layer of complexity for the learners. Instead of listening to the instructions, They now need to read the instructions as a group and follow through. This requires the learners to identify, evaluate, and synthesize information in a much different way than when they were listening.
Okay, they were not.
Between the school thing. Between school thing.
Across from school.
Okay.
The library
Is a fourth
is
office
next
is
to
on First Street.
Where's your restaurant? There it is.
Maple Street. Next to library.
It's next to the pharmacy.
Pharmacy
The pharmacy is next to the hospital and the hospital is across from the library.
Hospital and
Okay, the chats are starting to come in. We've got Patty with 1C and 4B, 4A, 2C, 2D. Erin thinks it's a lovely class. I agree. Okay, and Sarah says she's starting to incorporate more decision-making skills along with problem solving. Yes. And as Lisa says, the reading seemed harder, so doing the listening first was a good idea. Absolutely. As mentioned earlier, the scaffolding in this lesson is really superb. Carol lets go of her control slowly but surely and lets the students command one skill before adding another. And the students really are ready by the time they're given a new skill to tackle. Patsy's saying that so much effective communication work happening here as well as they're working in groups to solve a puzzle. Yes. So you don't just hit one part of the TIF when you're trying to integrate some skills. We're doing critical thinking and effective communication as well. Yeah. Okay. Any other reflections about this part? I know that the learners were definitely challenged by this independent practice and had to work together closely to come to the conclusion. And I also saw them rearranging blocks a lot because they were reevaluating what information they were given. And that was great to see, that they were really actively thinking about this. So I landed on these ACEs TIF skills that you can see. And then we also have an extension. Go ahead and watch that. It's not too much longer. It's just a couple of minutes left in the video. So go ahead, watch that, and we'll come back and share out again.
Learners will use a cloze activity to create their own directions. The other group will use those directions to complete a new map.
The blank is next to the blank. It is across from the blank. So you have to decide. You have to make up a map, okay? And write the words. Then we will give the paper to the other team and see if they can follow your directions. All right?
Library.
Everything's all mixed up. That's okay.
Oh. The library is next to the.
Okay, use your map.
Oh,
Use
not
your map.
on.
Place them, okay?
No on, not on.
Not on.
Put on name or anything.
Maple Street
Okay.
That's okay.
next to the back.
They can put it on any street.
Throughout this lesson, we have seen these beginning level learners use their critical thinking skills to organize, categorize, and synthesize information, solve problems, and use information to make decisions. Carol helped them accomplish this by carefully scaffolding the lesson to support the learners as they move forward away from teacher control to these more complex activities.
We've got Catherine saying it's a great way for the students to showcase what they've learned. Lisa, 3A and 3B. Yep. Lisa's saying she doesn't think that they've reached skill 4 yet. It's pretty advanced. Yep, it is. And we don't need to integrate all the different skills, but we can build toward it. And in your lessons, you might just be integrating one skill and one sub-skill, and that's okay. Just little by little, integrating more than you had before. Any other comments about this section? Okay. Well, I think as you can see, Carol really hit it out of the park as far as adding critical thinking skills to a lesson. And the main pieces that really stand out for me in this lesson are that the students are considering components and how those components relate to each other, and that they're continually evaluating as new information comes in, and that they're doing this as a group, in small groups. Oh yes, thank you. I forgot to advance my slide. Here are the skills and sub-skills that I noticed. But again, it's really that understanding of how components work together and the evaluation of information as it comes in that I found particularly striking. Okay, so let's come back to another poll. How ready are you to take the critical thinking plunge? Patsy is going to launch a poll again, and go ahead and vote when you're ready. Wow.
I'll just give you another couple of seconds.
Maybe someone stepped away, or they're watching the video again.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close, and I'll share that.
Okay.
Impressive.
Very impressive. We've got 91% ready to take the plunge and 18% wading in the water, which is always nice. I think that probably all can take away one or two ideas from Carol's lesson and from the webinar. We are just about at the end of our time, so I don't want to go over, but we have a few things to wrap up with.
Right. So do you have this open, Suzanne, since you're sharing your screen? Do you mind going to the Atlas page?
Oh, okay. Yep.
So I just wanted to be sure people know other resources that are out there for you. So as she's pulling that up, you are probably already aware that there's an ACES library or online resources that you can access. So it's at the atlasave.org page. I'll pull up in just a second here.
Sorry.
That's okay. So you can see all the steps to get there. So it's right here. It's under professional, and then when you hit ACES, you'll get to these categories. So as you can see under the green piece there, we've got all the TIF categories, all 8, and there are things being populated into each of the 8 categories all the time. So far we have quite a bit under effective communication, critical thinking and self-management, and developing a future pathway, because those are the ones we've already had webinars for. So if you just want to click on, say, the first one, effective communication, Suzanne. Okay.
Sure.
So you can see we've got the webinar that Leah did back last fall, lesson plans for beginning, intermediate, and advanced. You can click to see the actual classroom video that we did, or you can click and see the entire webinar, the webinar handouts. And then if you, perhaps you're doing a staff development event or wanted to talk about this at a staff meeting, we have a workshop that you can take, the outline, the handouts, the PowerPoint, and an activity that you can take and use for PD in your own setting. If you want to go to the ACES workshop archive for just a second.
Okay.
And I'll just point out something there before. So over on the, under the resources, it says other ACES resources.
Ah.
Yep.
Right here. Yes.
Yep. And so you can see we've got a whole bunch of past workshops here we've posted. So anyone who's done an ACES workshop for us, we've tried to post their PowerPoint and handouts and any supporting resources for them here. So if you've missed anything, you can get caught up.
Okay.
That's it, I think.
Okay, ready to go back to the screen?
And then just to be aware, there's some face-to-face professional learning communities starting up. If you don't know if one's happening in your area, get in touch with your manager or your regional transitions coordinator. And if you're in an area in greater Minnesota where travel is difficult, you can look into the hybrid professional learning communities. And so we're going to do some face-to-face meetings at regional events, like the Thursday night before the regional, and then the subsequent meetings will be on via webinar. And then you'll see more ACES workshops at these regional events. And more webinars coming up. March 25th is the next one with Learning Strategies with Kristen Perry. And then Stephanie and Heather from Minneapolis are back to do Navigating Systems in May. So things to look forward to. If you are interested in collaborating with us around ACES or taking on some leadership around it, just let me know. I'll put my email in the chat box. It looks like we're also getting a chat from Betsy pointing out some the New Horizons videos. Absolutely. She's got a whole one on critical thinking there that you can get at newamericanhorizons.org. So I'll just put my email there if people have questions. And I'll give it to you, Suzanne.
Okay. Do you need to go over any of this?
Let's see.
Or is that...
I think we've kind of done that. Yep, I think we're good.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for participating today and for giving us your ideas. We're going to close it out now, but we will stay around after we stop recording to have a Q&A. If anyone wants to stay later, we'll be here, but if you need to run, we understand. So thank you very much.